Hey Divi Nation, thanks for stopping by to watch our Divi documentation video on the Fullwidth slider module. Now the Fullwidth slider module is an excellent tool for building dynamic hero sections or just sections throughout your page where you want to have sliding content that goes the full width. So what we're going to do first in this is show you how to use the basic settings on this module and just kind of get it up and running. And then we're going to show you a use case where we get a little bit more creative and you can see what the Fullwidth slider module is really capable of. Check it out. In this video, I'll be showing you how to use Divi's Fullwidth slider module. As you might imagine, the Fullwidth slider module allows you to create sliders that span the entire width of your browser window. And we'll be doing this today in the Visual Builder. So first things first, let's go ahead and enable the Visual Builder. When we do that, you can see the Visual Builder controls start to pop up when we scroll over certain areas. Now, when I get to a section break, you're going to see this blue button here that says Add New Section when I hover over it. And I'm going to click that and choose the purple Fullwidth option. Now, I have several Fullwidth module section options, and I'm going to go ahead and choose the Fullwidth slider. Okay, so here's my Fullwidth slider. It's not populated, so that's why it's white. Let's go ahead and add a new slide. And so basically what I plan to do is more or less just duplicate some of this existing content up here and then replace it with my slider. So see, I'm filling in my heading, button text, and here's my content. If I scroll down here, so now you can see that taking shape. Even though it's white on white, we'll add some a background here to bring up the contrast. Now the link is staying, this is just a filler link. But obviously if I wanted to actually link to something, I would put my button URL here. If I want to add an image next to this text, I could do it right here. So just to show you an example, here's an image. And now we have an image that shows up right beside it. Okay, so now let's work on the background because we want this text to appear. So obviously I could add a background just like that. I also have the option to add a gradient, an image, or a video. And each of these options, just like all of our section backgrounds throughout Divi, has just a wealth of customizability. So there's the possibility for parallax, different background image size options, background image position, repeating effects, and then one of my new favorites, the blend effects. So it's a wide range. If you're familiar with any modern photo editing software, you're going to really like getting into these blend effects and achieving some pretty cool stuff. I'm going to go ahead and keep this as is, and what I'd like to do is focus on the slider aspect here and just add more slides so you can see what it's going to look like when it's finished. So I'm actually just going to duplicate this one real quick so I have a second slide in there. And one more time. So now you can see we've got 3 slides. And obviously if I'm creating this for a live website or a finished project, I would want those to be separate and to be relevant to our message. But just for the sake of this quick tutorial, you can really get the idea of what's possible and how this is going to look. So now that we've got some content in there and we can see the slider in action, let's go over the options within the Fullwidth slider, kind of tab by tab. So the first tab here is content, and this is where we add our slides. Now there's some element options here. We have elements, background, and admin label. Admin label is pretty self-explanatory. It's just the label that will appear if you're looking at this in the back end or in the kind of skeleton mode. So let's talk elements. These are the arrows, so we can choose to show or hide our navigation arrows over here. I like to have them visible. And we can also show or hide our controls, which is right here, these dots. And then background, of course, we've already gone over some of those options here, but on a slide-by-slide level, but we can also change the background for the entire slider altogether. So I'm not going to mess with these, but you do have that option. Okay, so let's move on to design. We can change layout, and that's just the inner shadows. There's a slight shadow right on the inside there. Then we have header text. Now this will change the header text for all headers on all slides. This is kind of the master settings here. Same for body text and spacing. So top and bottom padding is really big. So let's just say you have an image that's going too high or taking up too much of the frame and you want to center it more. So you might add some padding at the top, some padding at the bottom, and you see how this is really starting to take up a bigger portion of the page. Oops, it's 1,000. Didn't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and actually get us back to where we were. But that padding is really nice. Really nice option for getting it to take up just the right amount of the screen that you want it to. Then, of course, I can add custom button styles that will affect all the buttons and all the sliders. And just as a note, if you change the button styles on a particular slide, that will override this general, all these general settings. And here we have the advanced section where we can add CSS ID and class, custom CSS to several elements, animation. So there's automatic animation. We can turn that on, and we can adjust the speed in which it cycles through the slider for us by adjusting this right here. This is the animation speed in milliseconds. And we can choose to continue or not this automatic transition if someone is hovering over it. So you might think, well, if someone's hovering over this slider, I want it to stay put so that they can read it because it seems like they're interested in that slide. So that's what that setting would be for. Okay, back on the content settings, we can jump right into a slide. And I just want to quickly go over what's possible within each slide because, again, each slide also has the 3 tabs: content, design, and advanced. And it's basically the exact same. I just want to make sure that everybody's clear on what these sections do. So your text, that's where you have all of your settings for adding your heading, your body text, and your button text. Now design's where it gets kind of interesting. So what we can do here is we can, on a slide-by-slide basis, we can add a background overlay, a text overlay. We can change the appearance of the navigation. We can change the alignment of the image. We can adjust text styles, header text styles, body text styles, and this is all on a slide-by-slide basis. So this will override your general slider settings. And the same goes for anything that you might enter in here, custom CSS wise in the advanced tab. All right, so that is a quick overview of what is possible with the full width slider module. So now that I have it in place, let's just say I want to make that my hero section. So I'm going to go up here, and I don't want to get rid of this because I kind of like it. So I'm just going to disable it. And then I'm going to hit Control S and save. I could also just open this up manually and click this save button over here to the right hand corner. And what's going to happen is when I exit the Visual Builder, I have a nice new beautiful full width slider.